Hi.
Hello, everybody. We're live. Welcome to the Health Tech Talk Show, which is, what day is it? October 10th, 2025. Do you guys remember when it was 10-10-10 in 2010 when Leslie and I worked together at Dodge Communications?
Yeah, we did.
Dodge CEO.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that was a big day for us. Yeah. Okay.
How many weddings happened that day? Probably a lot.
I just officiated a wedding just now.
Oh, how was it? This is not important.
It was
Yeah,
really
that's great.
Popped out at lunch, did the do you take them, and then came right back.
It was just like a lunchtime wedding? So that's what I'm talking about.
I mean, she just had the baby shower 2 weeks ago, so she's ready to have the baby next month. So it was
and he's got to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And fun fact, you got ordained or whatever at my wedding. So like this is just Kat, we gotta you in this thing going on.
I would love to be an officiant. You guys, I don't know. I don't have anyone to officiate.
I mean, it was literally like, what was the guy that married you, Leslie? Like he just
Shazad Muhammad.
Shazad, yeah. He talked to me about it, gave me the website, did some stuff, and I paid $25 and it was done. It was great.
God. See, I don't know.
If only our healthcare system was this efficient. See,
got a nice little box.
Yeah, if we could all become doctors on the internet, that would be.
Listen, we're gonna talk about licensing soon. We're gonna talk about that.
Maybe it would be bad. Yeah. So okay, we've been turning this show into a podcast for exactly 1 week. Maybe this will be our second. So we've already done a terrible job of introducing the show. So hey, Kat McDavitt, Melissa Danino, and regular guest host Leslie Kirk. The real CEO of Insana, who is actually technically my boss. And because Lisa is on a well-deserved real-life vacation somewhere in Colorado. It's undetermined where, but I'm excited that she didn't actually show up because a lot of times when she says she won't be here, she shows up.
Often.
Yeah. So
it's also fun.
Yeah, she is fun. And our special guest for this afternoon, I didn't know if she was going to show up early because I told her she wasn't on until 5 and she was like, nah. But she showed up. Mandira Singh.
Hey!
Oh, happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Here we are. It's like end of day East Coast time. So I'm excited for you people like Mandira who are not living that dream yet. But as usual, we try to avoid liability for our guests, so we're going to put Mandira on the backstage until about 5 o'clock while we go through all of our opinions on the news show for this week. So Mandira, don't go anywhere. Don't go on a conference call. Just stick around. We'll
right here. Close some deals. Right. That'd be fine.
Yeah, close some deals in the next.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be for good. 28
minutes. Yeah, let us know how it goes. All right, we'll see you in a second. So, we have like a lot of news this week. We all three of us actually were in New York City this week where Melissa hustled some deals herself. I found a ring on the street that appears to be real gold. Very exciting for everybody involved. But yeah, Melissa. Yeah. What else happened to you, Melissa, this week?
I don't remember right now. I had a bunch of
and you're like caught in some of these reentry programs, right?
Yes, I've been talking to a lot of states about how they're using the 5121 planning grant and the funding, and how the government shutdown right now is making it so that they aren't able to get the funding, but we're moving forward with possible preferred vendor lists and other options that are going on right now. So really exciting stuff. I love all the things that are happening. I really think it's a good space to be in. So we should do more if we can. So if you want to call me, I'm excited. So
also call Melissa if you would like to support our show.
Oh, FYI, for all those that might be interested in sponsoring a slot in health, we only have 2 more spots available. I have not updated the schedule yet, Kat, but there will only be 2. So if you do want to be on the talk show live at Health and get to sit with Kat and Lisa and possibly Leslie, please just reach out to me at melissa@healthtechtalkshow.com.
We will not guarantee there will be no technical challenges. In fact, we guarantee there will be. And I just feel like everybody knows what they're getting into. So yeah. All right. Okay, Melissa, we're going to send you backstage so you can hustle the internet for more money while we talk. But yeah, Leslie, the first thing we're going to talk about, because like when Leslie's our guest host, I feel like we can talk about different things because Lisa she's always talking about the policy stuff. But I want to talk about something that's policy related. That's like just general, like what the heck is going on with our industry. So a lot of people are in crisis these days, Leslie. Like a lot of companies, But there's like one organization that recently got in a lot of trouble, and they seem to be doing everything wrong. So, what's your general feeling about crisis comms and companies in our industry lately? Do you feel like they're succeeding, doing a great job?
I don't, you know what's funny is I don't think that anyone's doing anything differently. I think people have always been bad at crisis comms. And it's like the basic, I think it's just more volume because so much is happening every single day. Like the volume is just out of control. So I think it's just bubbling to the top a little bit more. And like the basics, like tell the truth, like these things that are common sense. I feel like common sense, like between humans, you know, like, you know, if your reputation's on the line. But for some reason, when it turns into a company, people get so confused about just basic human normalcy. So let's talk about your grid, because I haven't seen this before.
Oh, have you? Oh, this is my favorite thing. So yeah, I do feel like telling the truth when when you messed up is like totally the key, but like most people don't do that. So, okay. So this is what I complain about on the internet whenever we see a company do something super dumb. And to be clear, I never know, like, well, sometimes I do. Rarely do we know if a company is being dumb on the internet if it's their fault, right? Like, but you can kind of tell by the way they react. So I'm just commenting on the general approach. I never know if these companies are at fault unless I do. And in which case they're doing everything right because we work for them, right? So whatever. So, okay. So something I complain about on the internet a lot is crisis comms. So communications is often an art, not a science. Crisis comms is a fucking science, y'all. Like 100%. It is the most studied practice in communications. There is a protocol. There is a decision tree, and it happens to be right here. This is one I use over and over and over. It's from the MIT Sloan Management Review. You can pay like $2 to read that article, which stands true. It's from like the early 2000s. Not much has changed because it's not about how you use certain platforms. It's just like the general philosophy. So like, let's just start out. So is the accusation true? Yes or no? If it's yes, is the crisis severe? Yes or no? You'll notice either way, you have to tell the truth. Again,
basics, everyone, basics.
Either way, you tell the truth. You do not lie on the internet. And as our loyal fans know, often I like to destroy companies that do lie on the internet to say, wow, this is so obviously a lie.
Well, also everyone, don't lie to yourselves. That's the other trap I see people get into. They're like, the media is not going to, no one's going to care. Like, no one's going to know that we had a security breach. Like, no one's going to find out about it. It's like, no, y'all, everyone finds out.
No, they find out. Like what's the friend of the show, Brendan Keeler, who currently like seems like he definitely is 100% on reviewing all kinds of cases. Like that's his new move. Like Lisa, yes, it's pretty interesting. So he was going into I guess there's a class action lawsuit now or a large lawsuit against Cerner Oracle because they had a data breach that they did not really communicate about. So I don't know, we are not advising those guys on crisis comms, but yeah, it seems like a lot of people are lying to themselves. So yes, Emma, truth telling is underrated. Look, people telling the truth over here. Yeah. But you'll notice, like, if the accusation is not true, you still tell the truth. Like, you give facts and details, and like, and you're not irrational. And then look over here in the last column. Again, I would just Google crisis communications, MIT Sloan, and this will come up. It's like one of the first hits. I have been using this for hundreds of years. Look, it actually tells you what to do. And y'all, here's the thing, this works. Like, this is not one of those circumstances where you go out and hire a consultant who is creative with truth telling. Like, you just like, this is crisis comms is not a
creative
fancy
with truth telling.
Yeah, it's not like you know that great, like the comms people who are working for whoever owns Oreo. Remember when like the power went out at the Super Bowl or something and they got it and they made a thing like you can dunk in the dark, right? Crisis comms is not that. It is not a creative exercise. It is a like save your company exercise. So I will also like to note, because I feel like someone is watching this show who I may be talking about, you also do not send emails threatening people who have criticized you. And why don't you send them to me is what I want to know. Why not me? Why does someone send me these emails? I am just waiting. Because listen, I will tell you what you're doing wrong if you just email me, and I will tell you why. So anyway, I feel better now. Okay.
She's had this rant since like what, Wednesday? So I feel good about this. I feel like I feel like that was therapeutic. I think that
it might have been Tuesday, but yeah, like, come on, like that is not what you do on the crisis tree. It's like not on there. It doesn't
also,
say.
Execution wise, don't be defensive. We've seen this go wrong several times in the past year. Don't lead with your product, because guess what? In a crisis, no one fucking cares about your product. Things like that. Just some basics. Just some basics.
Yeah, you should just, it's like not great. Also, I would like to say one other thing. When your organization is in severe crisis and you have told the truth, you have been transparent, do what the airlines do. Say, yeah, we had a crash. That really freaking sucked. It's being investigated, and be transparent. Also, then go quiet.
Yes. Oh my
Don't
gosh.
keep talking. Shut up. Oh my God. Anyway, all right. I feel a lot better now. But hello, loyal fan who is probably watching the show. I look forward to your emails later. Okay. Anyway, you're welcome. So hey, oh wait, hold on. Ooh. We had a lot of news. We were going through our news. Look at us. Thanks to Max for creating this graphic. We feel cool. We feel
the only time I'll ever wear a 3-piece suit. I feel really good about it.
This is more slender than we feel like we typically are. So, okay, a lot of things happened. So today, there was I believe on Twitter, as usual, this is how we get news from our great federal government. It looks like HHS is sending out a lot of RIFs. And the problem is, so we've had to ask a lot of our loyal fans who work in the great federal government, and we were like, OMG, like who's getting ripped today? And the response we got is, first people said there are going to be lots of rifts. Then people said there aren't going to be a lot of rifts. Then people said all the furloughed employees can't check their email, so they're mailing the RIF notices to their houses, which I find interesting.
That alone.
I mean, I don't know. I've never had to RIF 100 million people all at once, but it does seem like that's disorganized.
And the Postal Service is wildly reliable. So what could go wrong with this?
Wildly reliable. Agree. And you'll see here the statement, much of the statements that we've seen, we talked about it last week, that are on the government websites. Initially, I think a lot of them have been changed. We're very political. This is also slightly political, less so than the other ones have been, but it is a direct consequence of the Democrat-led government shutdown. So not great. We did hear that so far the risks look like they are targeting CDC, HRSA, and AHRQ. However, sources at all three of these agencies have said they have received absolutely nothing. I don't know. Loyal friend of the show, Scott Stewie, is here for us. That's awesome. Yeah. Scott, if you want to know any hot deets, you got to tell all our loyal fans, because otherwise we have to go back to X Twitter. So we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure someone will tell us in a little bit. Leslie, telehealth. You follow telehealth a lot.
Yeah.
There's some hot shit related to the shutdown here.
Yeah. And I like, not to be wildly dramatic on a Friday, but like, I feel like this might be like the sleeper agent of healthcare. Like if they don't fix this, it's going to be real bad for everybody. So, quick, like reminder, during COVID, CMS did a bunch of waivers that broadened the use of telehealth, including like expanding the provider base and all of that. So that was, and they've renewed the waiver dozens of times, or however many times, that might be a wrong number. But they've done it several times. Now it was expected to be renewed with the stopgap budget, but then obviously it didn't pass. The government shut down, and so on September 30th they expired. And so this is the first time since COVID that this has expired. And CMS sent out a notice that said, okay, so you can continue filing claims for the next 10 days, which is today. And after that, you can't file claims. So let's quick reminder of what this means, because there are two major ways this affects everybody, which is that you cannot now, if you're under Medicare and Medicaid, get reimbursed for telehealth services at home. And then there's a real fuzzy area around whether that includes in certain at-home care and remote patient monitoring. So that's really hard, especially knowing, as we all know, rural health is in dire straits. A lot of clinics are shutting down. A lot of hospitals are shutting down. So like, what do these people do, especially if they have mobility issues? All these other things have been cut. So what happens to these people? How do they fall through the cracks? Telehealth is used for a lot of patient adherence initiatives right now. So there's a lot of implications just for that one. Now, on the flip side, it also means that people can't even just go into their hospitals. So let's say that you have cancer, and care teams are starting to expand in the last 5 years because of telehealth. You can no longer go into your normal, if it's not a designated shortage area like a FQHC, you are not going to be able to go into your provider and telehealth to another doctor. So in every way possible, I mean, you might be able to, but it's not going to get reimbursed after today. So, so obviously we had an article that we found that was talking about, it was Alexis Apple, who's the head of the ATA's federal affairs. And she essentially was saying that there's 3 kind of camps of what people are doing. Some are just canceling services altogether. Some are still submitting claims and just hoping that they'll get reimbursed. And the problem with that being is that even if the government shutdown ends, which I don't think anyone's expecting it to do anytime soon, even if it ended, the earliest it would be able to be renewed is November. And what happens in that gap? Like, are they going to, retroactively reimburse for any claims that are submitted? Nobody knows. So, and that's a really big problem because I forget what Athena Health was saying. I think Athena Health was saying that they do $2.5 million a month. And you multiply that by a copay, like that's not a small amount of money, and that's just one organization. So this could really cripple some people and provider groups that are already strapped for cash. And then there's the third group of just people who have no idea what to do because so no one has no idea what's going to happen. So yeah, real bad, y'all. I think this is real bad, and maybe like I personally identify with this one because my mom is mostly blind and can't go places and can't drive. So maybe I personally identify with this one, but I think this is going to be really bad. And then the fact that we're already seeing these massive layoffs across the board for payers and providers, I think this might be real bad. So
yeah, I think it's super bad, especially like all the focus on the Rural Health Transformation Program, and telehealth largely serves those areas. Yeah, so it's kind of like wild that, I mean, whatever. Obviously, the administration is trying to put pressure on the Democrats, and I'm sure this is one more way to do it. Right, is to continue hitting healthcare, which seems to still get hit every 20 seconds. So that's a bummer. But the other thing I was thinking about this when we were talking about it earlier today is that when we were in COVID land and all of those companies were being paid for by the government to do testing and all that, and then there was kind of a gap and the funding was not renewed, many of those companies, like some of the ones you talked about, some of the camp and telehealth that's continuing to do it, hoping it'll be reimbursed, they did that too for a long time, racked up millions of dollars in bills, and the government did not pay them. So
that was what, like, it's like we've developed, and telehealth is in a weird spot from like telehealth companies like a Teladoc, Amwell, like all those, but like telehealth now is embedded in so many parts of our healthcare system, and it's such a critical part of that home care, trajectory. I don't know. I just don't. That's why I called it the sleeper agent. I just think I think that this got not ignored. I think it was just assumed it would be renewed, and so anyway, so they're scrambling to figure out how to like pass it at least next time for permanently. It's just, I don't know, this is a weird one.
Well, this has been going on. This has been going on since the pandemic, right? Where like the provisions keep getting extended, but never
permanently.
Yeah, never permanent. So
and the argument's there. The argument is there of like, because it was just kind of a blanket waiver. This is an ongoing conversation. Is the infrastructure for telehealth even built correctly? And so, but I don't think this is the move. Like, because there's people, again, this is mostly going to hurt patients and providers who are already hurting a lot. So, but maybe it'll shine a flashlight on a problem that we have, a big problem that we have, which is the infrastructure. really built for telehealth correctly? Is the reimbursement structure correct? Is it a little too blanket? Are there types of providers we shouldn't be offering through telehealth? And almost so many people have telehealth, some sort of telehealth now, when before pre-COVID, it was mostly just mental and behavioral health. So we'll see.
Well, one cool thing that happened with the telehealth expansion has been licensing and credentialing news.
Yeah, so this was just interesting. I thought the timing of this was just kind of ironic because, it was 2 days before, I guess it was 3 days before the end of reimbursing for telehealth. But essentially, this article from Stat, which are obviously a little bit more investigative, so a little bit longer and probably not timed quite on purpose. But in 2016, only 9 physicians in all of the United States had 50 licenses across all 50 states. And then since then, there's almost 200 and another 350 who are at least 45 states. So the licensing for doctors has been, and again, this was a piece that also talked about whether that's good, right? A lot of places are arguing that that's actually bad because we have a physician shortage. And when you have licenses in this many states, if you have a ding on your license in one state, it could actually affect you as a whole, and you might not be able to practice anywhere, right? If you hit enough of your, so I don't know, it's a really interesting argument, but also shows how much we've changed and how much, our doctors and our physicians have changed. And this is being, this right here, the licensing across 50 states, a lot of that has to do with the fact that in the waiver, they also allowed you to do video instead of just doing video calls, because it used to be required that it was a video call. You could do phone calls or, voice calls. And that's also been revoked. So probably quite a few of these people aren't going to be able to not just do it over state lines, like, because they can still hop a plane, but, they might be impacted by that too.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, also shout out to Stat. If you don't subscribe to Stat Plus, they do incredible exposés and series. They did like a wild one on United a while ago, and this is, as you can see here, one of a series on telehealth. So check them out. We will probably include more of this stuff in our show as they continue to push it out. Other interesting things. So the carpet bombing of the Coalition for Health AI continues, right? I think a lot of people thought this would be like a one-time hit. It has continued this week. So last week we covered on our show Jim O'Neill personally going to X and writing an op-ed with Marty McCary about how CHAI, the Coalition for Health AI, is not, like, it's not on the team. It's not on the team. They don't have access. And I think everybody thought that was going to be it. And it looks like this week RFK personally came out and has said that they're not supportive. And then the coverage has continued. They've lost their founding member, one of their founding members, Amazon. And then I think Mario from Stat, he posted a little thing on LinkedIn and wrote a nice piece on this, again in Stat. And actually went through kind of like this. If people don't know, this organization has been under some scrutiny for some time. It initially started in 2024, and there were 2 government agency heads on its board. They were non-voting. One was Mickey Tripathi, and God, I always forget the other guy, but he was at the FDA, where I don't hang out very much. They both stepped back after some criticism from the Republicans in Congress, and there's always been a lot of drama about this. So it is being labeled as a Biden era initiative. It certainly was during the Biden era, but I don't think it was a creation of the Biden administration, though who knows, I'm often wrong, but never in doubt. There's also, even last year, he notes Andreessen has been against CHAI from the start. Julie Yu, I have another one here. Julie Yu actually wrote a piece last summer about how CHAI was no bueno. And goes through why, because it does look like incredible regulatory capture. I will say there are a lot of organizations that pull this stunt. I'm not totally sure why this one specifically is being targeted, other than AI is hot shit right now and there's just lots of drama. But I mean, the hits keep coming. This is a Gizmodo piece from this morning. Inside the AI healthcare coalition that the Trump administration hates. These are strong words. Are they
just the biggest? Is that it? Is that they were just the biggest before?
I don't know if they have a lot of members, and I have never hung out with the CHAI people. And Senate is not a member of CHAI. They never called us. I don't know why. But it's like 3,000. They have like several thousand members apparently. And but we do have a lot of clients who are members, and they have told us they felt pressured, and they said basically felt as if, though I don't know if this was said because I wasn't on those calls, that the only way to get access to the administrations was through being a member. But again, I think
interesting.
Yeah, and who knows? Like I wasn't there. Like again, no one called me, but it was pretty clear early on. You know, we've been talking to Joe Rogan and the Paragon people for some time, and it was pretty clear that this was not something that was well liked by the Trump administration, even coming in. And I was not under the impression they had any access. So that appears to be true. I think this article, the Gizmodo article, does go into detail saying that while agency heads were not participating in the Trump administration, several agency people were working on work groups, and it's unclear if they'll continue. My guess is, based on how some of these other things have been going, that they will not continue to show up. But, you know, I work for neither Chai nor the great federal government, so who knows? But I will say, in terms of if it's the biggest, I don't know. But in the Gizmodo article, they do note that Andreessen is part of Leading the Future, which is a C4 political organization that is, there's not a ton of information on it, but it does appear to be trying to influence the same thing. So I don't know. I will say, like, it is interesting that, like, Chai is getting abolished right now and like just getting totally, like, as I said, carpet bombed in the media.
And then there's this other one.
And then there's this other one. And I would assume, I mean, these things pop up all the time, right? And the other thing I'll say, and Lisa said this last week in defense of Chai, like, whatever, this is a private sector, like, do whatever you want. If they were pressuring organizations and telling them that they had access they didn't have, that's wrong. I don't know if they did that. And like, listen, we can start a coalition, Leslie. Like, I'm sure someone would come to it. Like,
it doesn't sound very profitable at the moment.
I mean, well, I'll say, just like the talk show makes $0. That's not true. Melissa has now covered our costs with her good work. But I also don't know how great we would be at having a coalition where we all got to, like, roll around in cash. But
did the Andreessen one just launch this week?
So it says here, and I went to their Twitter, and everything is from August 25th, 2025. So
so it was after everyone started saying they were leaving and everything. So
yeah, but it does look like it's I saw somewhere, I don't remember where, $100 million is what was invested into Leading the Future. So I don't know, it's more money than we have. Well, let's talk.
Sure. Maybe it is profitable. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. So check it out. I don't know. Hopefully one of our loyal fans will send us a hot tip about this organization.
To your point, I'm curious if they're I don't know if they're already backed $100 million, but, like, that's not small. I wonder if
that's not small. That's not small.
I wonder if the administration, this is always the question, right? Will the administration go after these guys next, or will they not, because they already, like, took down the Biden version, you know, and maybe they'll actually jump on this one. We'll see.
Yeah, it's unclear. We will find out, and we will tell you, loyal fans, on our fake news show when we find out. Okay, but also, speaking of that, interesting timing, the Digital Medicine Society, I think yesterday, is this from yesterday, the day before? Anyway, in the fray, in the aftershocks of the Chai bombing, the Digital Medicine Society has released an artificial intelligence playbook for health systems.
We'll see. I would be curious what's in it.
No one sent it to me. Again, like, no one called us.
Yeah.
No one called us. We don't know. We don't know what's in there. But there appears to be somewhat of a void I feel like I once went to a really great webinar called The Science of Timing. I don't know.
And also, listen, like choice is good. That's great in the private sector. That's why we love it. You know, have multiple options. And I also, there's something to be said about the fact that clearly people need this. People are asking for this. If these wouldn't exist if people weren't asking for it. And, you know, I mean, again, back to health systems scrambling on 9 million different fronts. Obviously, AI is, we talk to a lot of CIOs, CFOs, CEOs of health systems, and this is one of their big directives from their board, is to figure out how to use AI in their system. And aside from some very basic and very more obvious RCM things that you can do with AI clinically, it's obviously all over the board and no one really knows how to use it. And, you know, and I think that, you know, this is maybe projecting a little bit, but everyone spent so million gazillions of dollars in 2020 to, help bring up their health systems to speed and be able to, exchange information and be able to, see patients remotely and whatever. And it's just all the stuff they kind of 2020 really highlighted what everyone was doing, or the failure of doing new things. I think that there's probably a little bit of a risk here of, well, if I do it, am I adopting the wrong stuff? So anyway, I'd be curious to read this. I'd be curious.
Yeah, maybe someone will send it to us and tell us what's in it, or maybe someone like Lisa will read it and tell us what's in it. But
that sounds right. That's probably what she's reading on her vacation, if I had to guess.
Yeah, freaking I will also say that real life tech executive Mandira Singh, who unlike us is a real technology person, may have opinions on AI. We'll ask her. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Okay, yeah. Oh. So speaking of regulatory capture, I feel like the OG of healthcare regulatory capture is the American Medical Association with their CPT codes. And it looks like everybody wants to bomb them too. But this has been going on. This was not just a Trump thing. I feel like this has been a criticism for years, that the AMA kind of had the grip on how doctors were reimbursed essentially. So there's I think some actions have actually been taken already, but we'll see what happens here. This may be the new exciting thing that happens over the next couple of weeks. So we will continue to follow the news. But I'm also kind of here for this. We don't have enough time for me to express all my feelings today about this, but I don't know how I feel about a private member association controlling pricing for their members. From the federal government. That does seem weird, but you know what? Maybe the AMA will come on our show.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I mean, probably not, but maybe.
Open call, everyone. Probably not.
I just thought this was funny because this was in Politico. The headline is Gavin Newsom? No, I think he's just from California. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Another piece we want to highlight from our new best friend, Sudeep Bansal, Dr. Sudeep Bansal. He was on our show 2 weeks ago. Really cool piece that he put out on his Substack and on the LinkedIn about public health. Read it. It's all about infrastructure and prevention. GBD. We like this guy. This is a chart that you can't read that I saw off the internet from his piece. And then there's been a lot of recent acquisitions in mental health. So check it out. We don't have too much time to talk about this because we were too busy yelling about my feelings on crisis comms. Do you have any thoughts and feelings about this, Leslie?
No, I mean, I think that I'm just happy to see lots more M&A happening because I feel like it wasn't dead, but for the first 6 months of the year, it was slowed down from the end of last year. So I'm excited to see.
I mean, pretty much everything's slowed down in. I
don't know why. I really don't know why.
Except for my cell phone. I feel like everything. Whatever. Anyway. Okay. Oh, exciting things. Yeah. So more hot deets on Trump RX. I think everybody was like, what even is this? But it turns out every company in health tech is like, we can make Trump RX. Everybody.
Yep. Yeah, it's like the pledge. Everyone wants to jump on board. And it's funny because it's not really sure. No one's really sure what we're going to do or what it's going to really look like. And aside from the, negotiations between the pharmaceutical companies and Trump RX giving them a discount, the actual execution of it's interesting. So I think that was for Trump RX, for good RX to jump in. I think that's what we're seeing is a lot more of the technology companies going, okay, cool, but you're going to need a platform, what's actually going to back it. And the CEO of GoodRx, Wendy something, she was just like, hey, we already do this. So, if you want something to build that program, I will say they jumped a whole lot their stock prices and it's already tanked. So I think it was just a little spike. But I mean, I think it's interesting to see if this is actually good. And it could be really good. This is another one where this is one that could be really good actually if it works. But it could also not be good. And then I'm gonna channel our good friend Miriam Paramore, the founder and CEO of RX Utility real quick, which is that at the end of the day, this makes it almost just more confusing for consumers because there's now 4, and this might even be a 5th different type of price that all say that they're the cheapest and the best price for the prescription drugs. And this is possibly just going to make it even more confusing for patients. So at the end of the day, what a patients need to do. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, I hope everyone makes money here, and I hope patients also save money. I don't know if that all works, but I hope that's what happens. So we'll see.
Me too.
Yeah, TBD. Okay, yeah. Lisa told us to include this, and we both just read about this.
Seems good. Seems smart. Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Thanks. We hope you're watching. We hope you're watching and not too embarrassed that we have no idea what's going on without you. But IQVIA is a big company, biggest CRO in, if not America, the world. I actually forget. It's quite large. Does a bunch of other things too. And Cedargate is like payer data analytics-y stuff. So interesting move. And we'll see. IQVIA has been investing a lot in like real world data. So, you know,
and it looks like this might have something to do with payer pricing. So
we'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see you know what? Next week, Lisa will tell us what she wanted to say.
Stay tuned. That should have been the preview for next week's episode.
Yeah, next week, Lisa will be talking about real world evidence. Okay, yeah. So no one can read this, but Ryan Howes posted, I thought, a nice update on things that he sees that are going on with the pledge, or at least maybe not the pledge, but the overall CMS health ecosystem stuff. Obviously, we think Amy Gleason is cool and want her stuff to succeed. This is a nice roundup. It doesn't seem like there's too much like actual like stuff happening yet, although I don't think anyone expected that it would. The deadline for things actually happening for those companies that pledged is July 4th, 2026, which is a great deadline. It sounds like not too much has happened like in legit land, but he doesn't highlight a lot on the treatment side. Most of this is patient access. So some interesting things. So Bruce Greenstein, friend of the show, from the great state of Louisiana, it looks like he convinced all these health systems in Louisiana to actually move on to Epic's single MyChart solution. I forget what it's called. Someone go find Brendan Keeler's post about it. So that patients don't have multiple portals, which is super cool. He talks about Epic a lot. He likes Epic. So Epic also recently put out some information on how they think a national provider directory should be put together. I feel like if someone called them, they'd make it super fast. So maybe that'll happen. And then last but not least, more information on digital identity. Again, these are all very patient focused. The directory certainly can be used for a lot of other purposes. The biggest criticism for the pledge has been, do the companies who pledged actually have the data use rights to fling data around as such for the treatment use case? And I will tell you, knowing most of those companies, no. So while I do think that the patient access stuff, I don't think there's a lot of sad faces over the patient access stuff. I do think there's a lot of gnashing of teeth over treatment. So we'll see what happens there. But I thought this was nice and appreciated that Ryan put it out. Okay, last piece before we go to our real live healthcare technology executive is circumcisions. If you get your child circumcised and give him Tylenol, he may get autism, according to the cabinet meeting yesterday. So, and
this is why we're a real news source. We're a real news source because
This is why we are a fake news show. So America, I will tell you, we are not qualified to give medical advice, and we suggest that you talk to your trusted physician for more information on this. All right, and with that, let's go to our real life healthcare executive, Mandira Singh. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like you've been on the show before, but you actually haven't. I think we've just tried to make you come on the show. We tried to make you on the show for like 3 years.
I didn't know that.
2 years old.
I just assumed.
Yeah,
I know. I'm a fangirl, so here I am.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I mean, it is risky to come on the show in general, I feel like.
It is live.
Yeah, it is very live.
Mandira's like, I signed all the paperwork, which is, like this.
Yeah. No one's opinions represent their employers. I don't know. Anyway, okay, Mandira. So you are, as we said in our intro for you on LinkedIn, which was extremely professional, you are an old friend, and you're now president of Synapse Health. So just tell us your origin story.
Oh my gosh. how long you got. No,
well, cuts off at 5:30. So.
Okay, origin story. I have been in some form of healthcare my whole career. I started on the finance side, so was an investment banker and an investor briefly before coming over to the operating side. Was at Athena Health for a number of years. I built their API library, so from API endpoint number one, scheduling up to like a full SDK, and built what's now called the Athena Marketplace, where I think there's like now 500 companies who sell into Athena. So drove kind of all of that work. Was at an amazing Series A startup called Collective Medical with one Cat McDevitt, and ran product there before becoming COO. And we sold that business to Point Click Care because I am an EHR boomerang, just can't get enough. And so I ran the acute and payer business at Point Click Care. I now am at Synapse, and in between have spent time fractionally working on a number of businesses, including launching a business in the PACE space called Habitat Health, which is a joint venture with Kaiser Permanente. Did that with Town Hall Ventures last year. Big fan of startups in general. Love working with startups, and a big believer that that we can afford to have as many smart people as possible in health tech land. So I consider myself OG because when I started in health tech, it was called HCIT. So I feel like when that's the case, you would really remember the good old days,
Those were the good days. There was a shift from health IT to health tech.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so tell us this. So, Leslie and I were LPs in Oncology Ventures. Apparently you are connected as well. And everywhere I go where someone finds out that we are connected through Collective or whatever, or I'm just name dropping all the cool people I know, and they're like, oh, it's some investor, and they're like, Mandira Singh, the one who got away, I wouldn't be the president of my company, right? And it happened to us. We were up at Ben Freeberg's LP event, and we ran into David from Town Hall. And he was like, and the Collective thing came up, and once again he was like, do you know Mandira Singh? She's the one who got away. And it was Habitat was what he was talking about, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I know, it's what everybody tells me, but for real, like, obviously we're giving you an emotional backdrop here, but you are in a different space now. I mean, you're not like, you're in health tech, but like in our world, DME was like
tech.
It was like, well, whatever. I mean, it's like technology-ish. DME was like over here, like we knew what it meant.
Yeah.
And now you went there. So like, why did you go there?
And let me tell you, it is a really different pocket. Like, I was like, listen, I've been in the space. I've been networking my face off. I know the people. I know the things. DME is pretty different. And I think part of, for me, working in Habitat is I've always done kind of B2B enterprise SaaS. And then Habitat was all the way into more services land, right? Like actually building a PACE center in Sacramento, where like you're seeing patients every day, just a really different environment. And I feel like I've landed in kind of the happy medium, which is tech-enabled services, and particularly in the age of AI, it's a really compelling place to be. And so, yes, we are a tech-enabled company. Tech is very much at the heart of what we're doing, and so is the platform. But it's in the service of the services that we provide for the patients for whom we are their DME provider. But DME is, I think it's this really uncharted territory in some ways, because it's a tricky part of the continuum, right? In some ways, if you look at what we spend in healthcare from a GDP perspective, or you talk to health plans about like, hey, what are your top 10 problems, your top 99 problems, right? DME isn't a huge spending item, but it's like really disproportionately affects some of your most acute and chronic patients. So our patients, these are folks who are like waiting to be discharged from the hospital and need oxygen, right? Or they're waiting for their ostomy bags, and they're not going to be able to leave their homes unless they have it. And what most people don't get is like, when you leave the hospital that way, it's not your health plan who's going to send you those things. It's also not your doctor. It's this whole other network of suppliers where this is what they do. And because of, lots of history of fraud, waste, and abuse in the space. There are a million. It's like a scavenger hunt of documents and checked boxes and signatures that you have to get, but all while that patient is desperately in need of the equipment. And that equipment has to reach folks everywhere, you know, in rural areas, on islands, lots of places, because it is in-home care. And so it's a space that a lot of people don't spend a lot of time thinking about, but I think is at some point in our lives, as we go from, you know, humans to patients, which happens in a heartbeat, you're going to encounter it in some way.
Did you have experience with it, or did you just kind of I mean, I'm sure most of us knew what DMA is, but like this, like the level of what you now know about it and like its need for innovation, like, did you have a personal experience with it, or did you just kind of stumble on it and go, oh my gosh, like this needs help. This needs me. I mean, this needs me, everyone.
A little bit stumbled into it in all of my you know, my walkabout in all of the companies in health tech over the last couple of years. But yes, I mean, one of Kat and my common friends, you know, while we were at Collective, his 2-year-old needed oxygen as she left the hospital. And he always talks about, well, we're 2 educated adults who, like, it wasn't there when we got home, and we couldn't navigate, like, who do we call? How do we fix this? And it's that typical problem in healthcare where you don't think about this problem until you have it, but it's not, patients have a tough time navigating this network. And I remember hearing that story and then kind of connecting the dots as I met the Synapse team, and felt like, particularly in the age of AI, which, you know, having heard the first half of the show today, excited to talk about, but I think there's just a tremendous opportunity to actually take a patient-centered approach, think about patient experience, kind of take these learnings from other parts of healthcare in a way where this part of the industry is already moving towards value, and that's very much what Synapse is focused on, while bringing along our supplier partners, our, you know, payer partners, that you know, multi-stakeholder network.
So Leslie was talking earlier about telehealth being like the sleeper issue. And this kind of, like, DME seems kind of like the sleeper issue, right? Because, like, we all knew what it meant. Like, we knew what DME stood for, sometimes, depending on the day. And this administration, like, seems to care a lot about it. So, like, why? Why now? Like, these, like, babies have always needed their oxygen, and people have always needed their ostomy bags. Like, why now?
I think the why now is really about this moment around, like, fraud, waste, and abuse, right? I mean, it's very much what is front and center for this administration. And for anyone who's like, everyone's had this experience where you're like driving and you see like a sign that's like, we sell diabetic supplies, or we buy them, right? Or if you go on eBay, like, there are people selling all these extra supplies that they've gotten. And that is a result of misaligned incentives, right? It's a system that hasn't really benefited from where other parts of the industry have moved towards value, and really, who needs these supplies, when they need them, how do we honor the suppliers? These suppliers are doing yeoman's work, right? They're the ones in the home continuously driving care. And so how do you make sure that the ones that are providing quality care are the ones that are in front of your patients? That hasn't really been how this industry has worked. And I think there is some focus on that in the here and now that allows us to take a step back and say, where do we need to revisit where these patients sit and how they're served, and how we help the doctors who are desperately trying to make sure their patients get supplies and are dealing with like weird drop-down lists and referral management, like crazy at discharge. And then really help those suppliers that are going out of their way to make sure their patients have an excellent experience, be the ones that are front and center as these needs come up. And so I think that's why it is in the forefront. I also think this is just I had no idea how much paperwork and how manual the process is. Like, as a mom of 2 kids, like I had no idea how many people had to run around getting so much paperwork for me to get my breast pump. But that is DME, and it is super painful. And it is because, the historical approach to dealing with all the paper cuts is let's add another rule, let's add another piece of paper, let's add another test, let's do this. And it's not really in service of the patient.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so forgive me. How old is Synapse? I should probably know this, but I don't.
Synapse is I would call it like in that toddler like we're kind of a toddler.
Okay.
There's an older part of the business, but this current model where we are a capitated sole source provider and represent a network of solutions on behalf of our payer partners. That is about a 2-year-old business. We launched in our first markets last September and have had subsequent launches this year. So we're in 12 states now, which is super exciting.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's why. So AI is like, because you just mentioned you were excited to talk about AI, but that's like the driver. That's almost like the driver because it seems perfect timing.
But like, if it's all paper, like, talk to us about AI. Like how far away are we from doing the AI in the DME? If we're still
we are doing AI in the DME on the things that don't require us to actually do patient care, right? And so what that means is for us, our product and tech chassis is very much focused on how do you automate like every piece of paper coming in. So there's still most prescribers, most doctors will still fax in an order for DME, right? And so we are getting thousands and thousands and thousands of faxes every day that used to have to be read by a human, and now they're not, right? And also our ability to like qualify an order. So like, do I have the right 12 pieces of paper on the sleep study? Are like the measurements where it needs to be? Do I have this and that? That's a lot of like, it's like a scavenger hunt for an agent when they could actually, like a specialist where they could actually be talking to the patient and helping them with their concern. And so that's where AI comes in for us. We are also using some voice agents, which it's just amazing to see how far they've come. And yes, it is. I'm still the person who sometimes will call and just be like, agent, right? Because I want it human. But it depends what you're calling for. If you're calling to just say, hey, where's my order, or like something transactional, you're actually fine talking to a bot, right? Some of these bots have lovely voices that are programmed to be warm and comforting and all these things. So yeah, we are heavy in AI, but I think in a way that's really fun because we're not outselling AI. We're really using it to drive top of license work within our 4 walls.
Yeah. So can you like tell us broadly what you think about AI? Because we have like, we run a fake news show, in case you didn't hear.
Love your fake news show.
So what do you think broadly of AI in our industry? Like, because some people are like, it's like half these people are just running macros and spreadsheets and like the bubble's going to burst. Like, tell us, just talk to us about it.
Yes. So, I mean, I think healthcare is such an interesting area for AI. And then even at the macro level, right? Like everything is AI right now. The Budget Lab out of Yale actually just put out this report that's like evaluating the overall impact of AI on labor markets. I think it's a really great report because I think there's all this fear that like AI is going to replace everyone, and it's somehow the speed at which that'll happen is so dramatic. And what this report does is compare AI since ChatGPT came out to the internet and other similar events that were supposed to completely change the labor mix. And what they find is actually the impact since ChatGPT came out is not that dramatic. It aligns pretty, in terms of the occupational mix, it has not been as impactful. Like we're not seeing, cognitive behavior being replaced by AI and jobs being replaced by AI. And then ChatGPT OpenAI actually put out some data on how is ChatGPT being used by professionals. Other than technical teams, right, which is the stuff that I'm talking about, our technical teams, you definitely see developers are working faster. Technology can work faster. You can solve technological and, scientific things a lot faster. But on the flip side, this idea that like everyone should be using AI for everything, the number one use case across like go-to-market teams or like R&D teams is search. Like search is not,
so that's how I use it.
by the way, I use it too. I like ChatGPT is like my new best friend. I like ask it all the
It's
time.
my boyfriend. He knows so much about me.
And so it's helping with communication, draft me this email, all of these things, all of the things that we use it for. But even OpenAI will admit that at work, we're not using the most powerful tools yet. And so in healthcare, where AI is rich is automation, right? But so much of healthcare and how we do things, in order to automate, your assembly line needs to actually be set. You need to know what you're automating. It's not going to create that assembly line for you. And so the work to be done, I think, for organizations that are looking to use AI is to understand where you can automate, what can be rules-based, like where is it, and then also say like, here are the areas where human judgment is absolutely necessary, and to kind of chip away at it that way. But this idea that it's some magical pixie dust where you flip a switch and like everything is automated, it is, I think, unrealistic. And so I see us taking thoughtful baby steps, hopefully, but as all the data is showing, I don't see us completely changing how things are done overnight. I think it'll be gradual, like the internet, which now we're all quite comfortable with, you know?
That's wild.
It's just a fad. Just a fad.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, we were like,
it's not a fad. Everyone
the internet is a fad.
It's so important though, because Leslie, like this is like when our whichever generation was like, email's gonna go away. No. It's like the internet. Like you gotta use it. Like you are not gonna be relevant if you don't use AI, and you better be thinking about AI. It's just not gonna replace you tomorrow.
So I kind of love that. I mean, I don't, maybe I don't love it. I think it's interesting that there actually hasn't been that much of an impact, because all you hear is how there's going to be like, it's going to destroy our labor markets and we're all screwed. And even with consulting, right? Like that's our real jobs. You know, in the beginning of the year, like all the major consultancies were like, oh yeah, we're just going to get replaced. We're downsizing, blah, blah, blah. And even like, and us, like there were a lot of concerns, right? Because if you're not careful about making sure you've purchased a solution that's not just using your information to train its model, right? Like we're violating client NDAs. So we were super cautious getting in there. And it is definitely super powerful. So I need to like actually look at that. That's super interesting that it hasn't impacted the market. But what do you think about AI doctors and AI nurses? Like, do you think the AI is coming for our clinical labor force?
I don't think it's that different than this overall occupational mix, right? And in the world of, I mean, I remember being at Athena and the whole argument for all of the apps that you could, you know, like still the whole AI scribe pitch is, you as a doctor shouldn't be spending your time typing. What does top of license work look like, right?
Right.
And I think the reality is, if you follow around our clinicians today, they're spending like the proportion of time they're actually spending on top of license work is not the majority of their time at all. And so coming for our labor force, making our labor force, our clinical labor force more efficient. Yeah, I sure hope so, right? Like we have a shortage of clinicians in this country. I'm sure it wouldn't hurt for something else to be doing all of their administrative work or helping them remember things when we're asking the cognitive load of like, hey, remember every past thing about this patient versus we're just going to pop it up for you using AI, right? That's what I'm probably more interested in. And I think that, yeah, there are probably a set of things that the same as the inbound calls we're working on, where AI should be able to answer some basics. We also we like ask our doctors some things that we could probably Google, you know? But do I think AI is going to take over? Like we're going to be walking into robot-led hospitals anytime soon? No, but I wouldn't mind if the doctors could spend all their time on the case in front of them.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
I think this is so great because like this is just one more problem that can be fixed. And so I think that's, and like you said that everyone's talking like way up here and talking about all the ways AI and everything else could, but this is really where it's going to fix it right now. Like our problems and getting off of paper and all that good stuff. So I love it.
Yeah, being realistic is cool. And I'm probably going to
So
say
nice.
his last name wrong. I met this lovely gentleman. I think he was the CEO of Cerebral, but was the CMO, but was briefly the CEO. And now he runs Benchmark Health. You probably know him, Mandira. David Mao?
I don't know David Mao, but
I know everybody. I'm surprised too. I'm probably saying his last name wrong, but I met him a couple weeks ago, and now he's doing like this. It's like AI therapy type stuff. But he wrote a post on LinkedIn I have pulled up, and it was basically saying like, can you imagine if the government let us have AI therapists? And I was like, holy shit, that sounds awful. But he makes like an interesting point that like it would only be for certain like triage type cases or whatever. So yeah, I agree with you on that. I guess that's your call center model.
I mean, I think also like, I don't know, like there are lots of cases. I mean, one of my favorite AI use cases is a friend who has, a complex and somewhat rare form of cancer. And she has Gemini open during her doctor's visits. And her prompt is simple. She's like, I'm talking to a doctor. Can you look up relevant research and help me ask questions in real time? And it's not the AI doing the asking, but the level of conversation with your doctor. If you can say, how about this research out of Germany, or how about this treatment somewhere else, because you have that patient advocate with you in your pocket, is pretty powerful, right? And
cool.
I don't see a reason why for frontline triage or that initial conversation. We have people wait months to get in front of a therapist if you're on insurance. Would it be that bad if you could get to one right away? I feel like there's probably some impact there.
I agree. But maybe don't ask ChatGPT because it sounds like that's not working. According to several news reports, maybe don't use your boyfriend ChatGPT for to work out your therapy problems. Although, like to your point, like if you have no other option or you don't know how to access care in any way, like I mean, I don't know. I agree with you. I think there's lots of opportunities. So we have like, we're already over time, but like what's new? What do you think of what do you think of CHAI in these organizations? Like, do you think, given your work with AI, that you need to be a member of one of these coalitions to be successful?
I don't think so. I mean, we're not actually selling AI. We're not like driving that. I think there's probably a place for governance, and I think that there is a need for that overall. It's hard for me to comment on how effective any one organization is going to be. I think there's a little bit of a land grab and some FOMO happening too, which is why, again, I do not mind being in the tech-enabled service side of the world, where our use of AI is very much focused on the users within our four walls. I think we're going to see a lot of companies, implode in the coming years. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of wrapper companies. It is commoditizing wonderfully. And so I think it's going to be a space to watch as well. But I will be over here watching it from service land.
As we often said at Collective Medical, we often would say the early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. So
rather be the
second mouse, y'all. Okay, what last amazing piece of advice would you like to leave all of our loyal fans with?
Oh, piece of advice.
Feelings, thoughts.
I have so many things. First of all, I appreciate you guys having me on. I think it's an exciting time.
You can come on anytime. Like you've known that for like 2 years.
No, I think particularly right now, really pushing on the evidence and pushing on the hype is really important in terms of like, what is the thing this will actually move? I'll also say one last thing, which is just because AI exists doesn't mean like you don't use common sense. I'll give you the best example. Using AI is actually really expensive, right? Like there's this whole joke where like every time you ask ChatGPT a question, like a tree like dies.
Yes.
Right? And so like we actually did this A/B test where it was like, oh, I have to manipulate this Excel file, and I'm like sitting here trying to get AI to do it. And I was like, it's not working. It's not working. And this dude was like, hey, this took me 3 minutes. Here you go. And it was like a really good reminder of just because you can doesn't mean you should. There's still lots that are ins and like very basic things like Excel can do, or you don't need the AI.
I love that.
I think
oh my God. I
So
killed
good.
so many trees this morning looking for the best litter box for my cats.
Worth
Oh,
Worth it.
and you know, I ended up going to the Amazon bestseller anyway. Like, it's all for nothing. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
There you go.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Mandira. I hope you have an awesome week. It's like a holiday weekend for some people, y'all. So hope everybody has a great weekend doing stuff, going apple picking or whatever you do in San Francisco. But we'll see you next week, loyal fans.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.